resources. We discover the no fluff action steps to help you avoid all the overwhelm and all the BS out there, connecting you with the right mentors, resources, and tools, helping you every step of the way on your entrepreneurial journey. We go live here twice a week, interviewing different entrepreneurs and experts on all areas of business. So make sure to join our Facebook group and look out for the events inside your entrepreneur resources page. You can find all the links in the description box. Our guest today is Sheetal Sujan. I'm super excited for this chat. So thank you so much for joining. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Venice. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sheetal is a co-founder of Libra Training, Coaching and Consulting, and Libra Learning LLC. She develops and facilitates tailored-made trainings for organizations in areas of self-development, team development, leadership development, customer service, communication, productivity, team building, and emotional intelligence. She has over 12 years of experience as a personal and professional development trainer, and her goal is to positively motivate individuals to strengthen their true talents and skills, overcome their challenges, and get the most out of their personal and work life. This is so incredible. I'm so excited to have you here. And in this interview, we'll look at how not paying attention to our emotions can hold us back from living our best lives. Before we get started, do you mind sharing a little bit more about your business and your journey with us?
Absolutely. So, like you said, I have two businesses, and Libra Training, Coaching, and Consulting has been around for about 10 years. I started training and coaching much before that when I was working in Miami at the Florida International University. And that's where my journey really started because at the time I was actually in a HR and budget position. So I was behind the computer working on budgets, but I was also coaching others. And every now and then I would fill in for the other coaches because I worked at the career services office. Prior to that job, I was a student employment manager, which means that I had to coach students, I had to do workshops and stuff. But I made that transition because I had just graduated with my master's in HR and then I got promoted to this job. Here I was sitting behind the computer, crunching numbers, and I was really missing coaching and training, which I did in my previous position. So when I left that job, I knew that I wanted to teach, I wanted to train, I wanted to coach because that gave me so much fulfillment. It allowed me to help others, it allowed me to help others grow and give value and just provide direction. And as time went on, my services started to build upon what was requested by my clients. It first started out with team building. Eventually, I was requested to do customer service based trainings. Eventually, everyone's talking about communication and productivity, and I don't have time to do this and that. And of course, my favorite topic is to teach and talk about emotional intelligence, which is what helped me in my journey growing my business in the last 10 years, in my relationship as a parent. I'm a mom of two as well. I have a almost 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. So emotional intelligence has helped me immensely in so many ways, and I'm happy to talk about that today.
Yeah, that's so incredible. I love that. I think a lot of the time, we go through different stages and different journeys and different, pathways in our lives, and it's incredible where it leads us. And I love that you're so passionate about coaching and teaching and helping people. So I'm excited to hear what you have to tell us about emotional intelligence and how it links to our businesses and entrepreneurship. So my first question for you is, what exactly is emotional intelligence? I'm a new student here, so I'm starting from scratch. Please, tell me.
So, emotional intelligence has to do with how you recognize and manage your emotions and how you recognize and manage the emotions of others. That's putting it really simple. But to dive in a little deeper, it just means that you know where your emotions are coming from, you know what triggers your emotions, you know the meaning behind those triggers, and you can do something about them. You don't allow your emotions to ruin the rest of your day, to ruin your week or your year. You go through them. So whether they're negative, so negative emotions mainly is what triggers us. I mean, we all love the positive emotions when we're happy and joyful and feeling good, and we want more of that. But it's the negative emotions that we have to work ourselves through. And when we're able to do that intelligently, we're able to make the most out of our lives. And we're able to recognize that in others. We're able to manage our relationships with others. So if you are in a leadership position, you have a business, you're an entrepreneur, if you're a parent, if you're a teacher, if you're a coach, it allows you to help and guide others better as well when you have the sense of emotional intelligence so you can help others and give them direction in that manner as well. And it's made me a better coach. It's made me a better teacher as well. So I highly recommend everyone look into this.
Definitely. So for someone like me that has not a lot of knowledge about emotional intelligence, and what do you think the first step for us should be? Is it to recognize our emotions? Like how do we start like being able to take this emotional intelligence and apply it to our lives and also our businesses?
I'm really glad you asked that. So there are four pillars of emotional intelligence. It starts out with self awareness. Self awareness has to do with knowing where your emotions are coming from and being able to name them. That means that knowing the difference between being upset and being disappointed, being angry and being frustrated. Sometimes it may seem like they're synonymous, but they're really not. When we understand the true meaning behind emotions and we can name our emotions intelligently, then we will know what to do about it. So if I'm really angry and I know that, hey, I was really angry, I felt something, I'll know how to deal with anger versus mistaking it for being upset or disappointed. Right? So the first step is self awareness, but I like to take it a step back. I think that we can only name our emotions or understand our emotions if we know ourselves first, which means um, knowing who you really are, knowing your strengths and challenges, knowing what triggers you, knowing what makes you you, knowing what you're passionate about, what drives you, your talents, your skills, anything that you can learn about yourself helps you manage your emotions intelligently. So the first step is complete self awareness. When I teach my courses, I usually tell people to take a step back, to reflect on the time when they were growing up, when they were younger, when they were thinking about who they wanted to be, who they aspired to be, the dreams that they had. Because believe it or not, when we think of those things, they're tied to happy emotions. And when certain things are tied to happier emotions, we have a very different approach towards those situations. So I'd like to bring people back there so they can tie it to their present and understand what's frustrating them today, what's irritating them today. Why are they unhappy in their jobs? Why are they frustrated? What are the triggers that they have? Why do they have road rage when they're on the road and someone cuts them off on the road? Simple things like that could lead to bigger things. So the first step is emotional intelligence. When we know, sorry, self awareness. When we know how to be more self aware, then we can regulate our emotions, which is step two.
Mhm.
That's where
Yeah.
how we
Wait,
that
let's come back to
no.
that one for one
Go
moment. Sorry.
ahead.
I
Yeah,
just have
yeah.
a question. I love that. I think being able to be aware of the issue is definitely super important. But sometimes it's hard too, because say for example, you're on the road, you're frustrated, you're like swearing at the cars and the people
Yeah.
walking by.
Yeah.
How do you allow yourself, in that moment, do you like recognize your emotions immediately, or would you recommend people kind of take a step back later on and come back and reflect on what happened like earlier in the day or something like that?
So what I tell people to do is to start paying attention to their emotions throughout the day. That's the first step. Just observe yourself. Observe how you react when something happens that pisses you off or gets you upset in some way. Observe what happens when you're standing in a really long line in the supermarket or at the bank or wherever you are, where there are really long queues. What's going through your mind? When people start paying attention to that, then they start to realize, wow, I get really upset, or I'm saying things I shouldn't be saying, or I'm getting really angry, or I notice I'm getting heated up. Because here's the thing, right? A lot of people just go through these moments without taking a step back, without realizing what's going on inside of them. And then they don't even realize they're carrying those emotions to the next place they go or to the next person they meet. And sometimes they may take out that frustration on someone else when that other person had absolutely nothing to do with it. So the first step, be more aware, observe what you're going through. When do you feel happy? When you feel joyful? What triggers those happy emotions? And what triggers those negative emotions? Because when we can
Mm.
observe and pay attention, that's when we can step back and start to think about it.
I love that. It's also about mindfulness as well, right? Like instead of living in the routine where you're doing the same thing over and over again, recognize what's happening around you and be more aware of your surroundings and your feelings. I really love that. Yeah,
Exactly.
incredible.
And I'm glad you mentioned routine because sometimes when we're in a routine, we're in autopilot. And when we're in autopilot, we are not thinking about what's happening. You know, it's kind of like when you're driving on the road and you're driving autopilot, you don't realize how you got from point A to point B. You just know you did because your mind was somewhere else. So what
Mhm.
I also tell people is that break your routine. Take a different route because that's when you start to pay attention. You're not going to be on autopilot. Change up your routine a little bit because then, because of the change, you'll focus on the present and then the here and now as opposed to just going through, things mindlessly. So if you want to become mindful, do something different, change things up, and then, okay, this is different. Or I feel this about this, or I like this, or I don't like this. So I usually tell people sometimes changing things up can help you bring you back to the.
Yeah, definitely. So let's move on to step two. Like after being aware of your surroundings, your emotions, and all of that, what's step two for us?
So once you are more aware of your emotions, you learn where those triggers are coming from, you learn where those negative emotions are coming from. Then the next step is self-regulation. We have to manage our emotions. Now that we know this is triggering us, what can we do about it? And there are many things. What I would do would not be what you would do. We have to try different things to manage our emotions. For example, for some people, exercising helps. Go out for a run and they'll feel good and their mind gets and they're able to think straight, then they know what to do in the situation. They talk to their best friend or spouse or someone that they trust. For some, they need to go to a spa, relax and calm down or meditate. So these are all different techniques in self-regulation. And if you notice the things that I'm mentioning, these are self routines. Part of self-regulation is taking care of yourself. Okay, it's not about, okay, I had a bad day, and forget about it, I'm just going to move on with my life. No, the more we stack things up, the more we bury things, the more we neglect that something's bothering us, the more likely it's going to come up later in the future, probably at the wrong place at the wrong time and with the wrong person. And that's what we want to avoid. What we want to do as things are happening, pay attention. If you're upset, it's okay to feel upset. If you're angry, it's okay to feel angry. You have to recognize that you are feeling that, go through the emotions, knowing that you can do something about it, knowing that you should reach out to someone if you need help and you don't know how to deal with it, or talk to someone, or hire a coach, hire someone who can help you out. That's all part of self regulation. That knowing that if I can't manage it, I need to find out or find someone who can help me manage this. And this is why we have communities, we have groups, we have organizations that can help us through this if we feel like our emotions are all over the place. So the next step would be self-regulation, really taking care of yourself and knowing I need help and I need to do
Yeah.
something about how I'm feeling.
Yeah. How often do you think people should take a step back and reflect on, doing this, understanding what triggers them, understanding their surroundings, and then doing the self-regulation? Like, do you recommend people, take a day off? Like, I mean, everyone's different, I know,
Right.
but what do you think is like a good place to start?
I would say as often as you can. Like I'll give you my example, right?
Yeah.
So say if something happened in an incident happened first thing in the morning, say I had an argument with my husband. What I would do is I would just park that right there. And
Mhm.
I know because I can regulate my emotions. I know what I need. I have to know what I need in order to do that. I need to speak to my husband. I need to have a conversation with him. I need to come back to that and say, hey, this is how it made me feel when you said this or when this happened. I need to step back and reflect on that conversation. If I said something I shouldn't have said. But if I have to work for the rest of the day, I'll park that. I'll do my thing at work because I know I'm going to go back to that and I'm going to, fix it, or we're going to go through it, we're going to have a conversation, and I just go about my day. I don't let that dictate the rest of my day. And that's what it means to manage your emotions intelligently. You don't allow what happened to you or any incident to drag on the rest of the day. I feel it, I do carry it. Sometimes I get a bit irritated about the littlest things because I had that argument, but I'm able to kind of tame it. And then when the day is over and we're both relaxed, we'll sit down together and say, we shouldn't have said this, or this shouldn't have happened, or this is not what I meant, and then we have a very relaxed and calm conversation. If we don't do that, we'll stack that up. We'll stack up our feelings. We start having imaginative thoughts that don't, and we start thinking about things that don't even exist, because our thoughts are our biggest critic. We start making stuff up in our head that's not even true, and we start coming up with all these crazy negative scenarios that are never even going to happen, and that's the worst thing you can do to yourself. So deal with it as soon as you can before you go through that negative spiral, making the situation worse than it is. So as much as you can, as soon as you can, allow yourself to park the situation, but make sure you go back to it and deal with it. And then you don't stack things up. You open room for communication, and you can then your relationship gets stronger as well. So if you look at it from an entrepreneurship perspective, from a business perspective, if we have things that are going on with our colleagues, we need to talk to them about it. We need to be open about it, and we need to share from our perspective and not put judge or blame, but say, hey, this is how this made me feel. This is what I thought. What do you think about it, or how did it make you feel, stuff like that. So I would say when stuff comes up, notice and then observe, step back and ask yourself, why did I behave like this, or why did I say that, what triggered it? Sometimes it could be something else for someone else. Oh, yesterday I had this argument with someone, that's why I'm so pissed off today, and I'm taking it out on everyone else. But because I didn't deal with that yesterday, I'm getting all over everyone else. So the sooner you deal with it, the better you can manage your relationships with everyone else, or your business and anything that you're dealing with.
Yeah, no, that's so powerful. I love that you talked about communication, because I think that is so important. No matter if you're dealing with someone that's part of your life, someone that is part of your business life, someone like even yourself, like communicating with yourself and allowing yourself to understand what's going on. Because if you don't do that communication, you never get to the conclusion or a solution to help you overcome those issues, right? So yeah, love the step 2. Let's talk about step 3 now. What's the third pillar?
So the third pillar is self-motivation, which I like to call mindful motivation. And that's really, how do I drag myself out of what I'm feeling? So I know I'm feeling bad. I know what I need in order to feel good. But there's certain steps I need to take for myself every single day to motivate myself to feel good, to maintain positive emotions, to talk myself to myself positively, and not getting into this negative spiral of thoughts. Telling myself that if there's something that's difficult, letting myself know I can do this, I can make it happen, I've got this. And this is a conversation I have in my head all day long. So if there's a challenge in front of me, immediately I'll be like, I've got this, I'll make this happen, I'll find a way. And the moment you tell yourself this, it makes it so much easier to move forward, because it's like you opened up your brain for possibilities to allow you to see things from a different perspective. Because when we're closed-minded, when we shut our brain, and we shut our brain by saying things like, I can't, it can't happen, it's never going to happen, or this is impossible. This is not for me. I wasn't made for this. People tell themselves these things and they shut themselves off. Your brain literally shuts down and says, okay, well, if you believe you can't do it, then we'll just make sure that you can. But the moment you change that dialogue in your head and say, I'll do this, I'll make it happen, even though you don't believe it for the moment, somehow your brain says, all right, I got this. Let's see what we can make happen. And believe it or not, all these ideas start to come to mind, and suddenly you feel energized, you feel more motivated because you believe that you can make it happen. So self motivation is really you, while you are reflecting, while you are regulating your emotions, listening to that inner talk and what you're telling yourself, and changing that negative talk to positive talk, and letting yourself know you're capable and the possibilities are absolutely endless. You can just make it happen and just move forward and make it happen. And that's great, especially when we have goals. Now, we love goals, we like to make goals, we all know what we want, but we also have setbacks. We have road bumps. And the minute we have road bumps and setbacks, what happens? We get discouraged, we get demotivated, we say, oh, this is not for us. What was I thinking? Why did I do this? This is too much work. And then we get into this negative spiral. Instead, you tell yourself, all right, I'm going to step back and take a break. Or if you're overwhelmed, you take care of yourself. Go to a spa, get a massage, make yourself feel good. Fill your cup so that you can keep moving forward. And this is why entrepreneurs, even business owners, get burnt out because they're not taking care of themselves. They're just going without stopping and breathing and being mindful and taking care of their bodies and taking care of their mind. And if you do that often, there's no stopping you. You just keep going.
Hmm. No, that's so powerful. I have a few questions, but I'll wait till you tell
Sure.
us about the fourth pillar, and then we can like wrap up and like get the questions out there too. So tell us about the fourth pillar.
So the fourth pillar has to do with others. So your relationships and your social awareness. So once you go through the three steps where you're more self-aware, you're able to regulate your emotions, you're able to motivate yourself, the fourth step is being able to do that with others, which means you become a better listener. You become more compassionate. You're able to show more empathy. You're able to increase your communication level with others. I always tell people, work on yourself first, and then you can help others. It's very difficult to put yourself in someone else's shoes or understand what someone else is going through if you're not helping yourself first. It's kind of like we tell someone, oh, you need to take care of yourself, you need to rest, but you're not doing it yourself. If you don't understand how that feels, you can't help someone else do the same, you know? So, and understanding the differences in personalities. I'm a Myers-Briggs type indicator practitioner. I love to work with personality. So I teach an aspect of personality as well, that if you're an introvert and you're dealing with an extrovert, how you communicate with them is going to have an impact on the message that comes across, and vice versa. So these are the kind of things you learn in the fourth pillar: better listening skills, better communication skills, connecting with others, building rapport, becoming a better listener, which makes you a better person overall, and really being able to be there as a leader, as a colleague, as a mentor, as a coach, as a parent, as a friend, and every role that you have in your life.
Hmm. No, I think that is so incredible. A lot of the time, we live in a community, we live in a society, and obviously we have to deal with other people and be with other people in businesses. Obviously, even if you're a one-man team, you still have to work with clients, work with customers, and communicate with people. And I love that you talk about self before others, because it's something that I think a lot of people don't, they think they're being selfish, right? They're like,
Right.
no, but I need to be taking care of my family and my friends and making sure everyone else is happy. And we often forget about ourselves. And that is, if you don't have the energy, the power, the strength to take care of yourself and recharge yourself, how do you take care of other people, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I
Exactly.
love how all those pillars just tie in so well together and just, it's really much very much about taking care of yourself before being able to serve other people.
Right.
Um, Speaking about taking care of yourself, do you have any tips or do you recommend having a morning routine or like, doing journaling, meditating? Like, what is your take on that?
So I would say try different things and then stick to what works for you. There are different things that work for different people. Like I said, some people love to exercise first thing in the morning. It hypes them up for the rest of the day. Some people just want to take a walk. Some like to meditate and journal. Some would, just hang out with their children, and that, makes them happy for the rest of the day. Try different things. I tried a bunch of things until I found my routine. Like when I wake up in the morning, I like to meditate for 20 minutes, and that sets me up for the rest of the day because I have these chants going on in my head, and I think about how positively I kind of like pave the road for how I want my day to play out. So I see that in my meditation, and it usually works out really well. And the more you practice that, it gets better. Some people like to do visualizations, that helps as well. And then when I'm done with that, I have like a 10-minute workout. And then that gets me all pumped up and energized for the rest of the day. And I'm good. When I don't do that, I feel a dip in my energy. I feel a dip in my mood as well. So for me, these are mood boosting routines that help. For some, they like to do things after work. So find something that really works with your mood. Now, I will not suggest food or alcohol in any way. Of course, food is great, but again, you don't want to overindulge in something that has too many calories because then the after effects of that is that your mood goes down. So I'm really talking about, like you said, the journaling, the meditation, reading, blogging for some people, writing, exercising, dancing for some people, just taking out, just taking your pet out for a walk, whatever makes you feel good and enhances your mood. The more you do that, the more you take care of yourself, the better you can manage yourself and you can manage others. And every once in a while, get a massage,
Mm,
or if you have a tub in the house, sit in that, put some bath salts. It always feels good. Go swimming once in a while, and that feels good as well. Find out what works for you and do it often. And then when you have these things in place, and of course, vacations are great. Those things are going to start opening up soon. So, yeah, take those vacations. Don't postpone it for a later day or next year. Make it happen. Feel good. And guess what? The best ideas come when we're happier, when we're
mhm,
feeling good, when we're relaxed, when we're calm, when we're on vacation. I have like a ton of ideas. I want to, that come up when I'm on vacation. When I go back to Paris, like, oh my goodness, when I was in Disney, I thought of this and this and this. I want to make a note of that because when we're relaxed, we're more productive. When we're feeling emotionally good, we feel good, and it does better for us, for others, for our business, our overall wellness. So definitely create your routine and see what works for you.
No, that is such an incredible question. I think answer, sorry. I think a lot of the time people, want to follow the gurus and set up that perfect morning routine and follow that perfect formula, but there's no perfect
There's
formula,
no
you
formula.
know. Yeah, it's what works for you. Just kind of going on the complete opposite side of this self-care routine, what I know a lot of people, we it's life. We have negative things happen to us. Maybe we have a bad day. Maybe we face some rejection. Maybe a client fell through. Maybe we got an email that people were mean to us. Things happen. But when I feel like when we're in that moment, we're so stuck. We're in that negative like black
Spiral.
hole.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
spiral. How would you suggest, I know we talked about the four pillars, so maybe that can relate to the four pillars, but how do people get out of that spiral? How do people kind of, you know, um, move away from that? I know it's hard because negativity is so strong. Like they could be pulling us in all kinds of directions. So what should people do when those negative things happen in their lives?
So the first thing you want to do is breathe. We forget to breathe. Because when we go through those emotions, we're breathing very shallow. We've got, there's tension that's building up. We start feeling stressed out. We start getting a headache. We start thinking too much. And yeah, then we go into this negative spiral and negative self talk. If you can remember, take a couple of deep breaths. And that's why I say if you can remember, because a lot of times people don't. They'll be stuck in that. So the simplest thing to do is just take a couple of deep breaths and tell yourself it's okay. Everything's going to be fine. And when you take those deep breaths, you'll know what the next step's going to be. And the next step after that, and the next step after. Because here's the thing, when we're stressed out, when we're tensed, when we're dealing with negative emotions, we are not thinking clearly. And in order for us to think clearly, we need to breathe. We need. So first breathe. Trust the universe has a plan, and that's very important. Trust. If the client fell through and decided not to go with you, tell yourself something better is coming. A better client is coming. And that's what I would often tell myself. And there's been so many times when we work so hard to, try to get a client, but at the last minute, like, no, we're going with someone else. I don't let that bother me anymore, because time has proved over and over something better was right around the corner. So if someone gives you a no, that just means a better yes is coming. If you trust that, if you can believe that, if you can even write that and put it somewhere so you can see it, because you might forget in those moments. I do that in the beginning. I breathe, trust something better is coming, and I would put it right next to my monitor. And the moment I would see that, I was like, okay, we got this. We're just gonna start over, and we're gonna, fix this. We're gonna make this happen. You have to believe in your capabilities, and then it gets much, much better.
Yeah.
It gets easier.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I feel kind of at peace right now. I'm like, I know how to deal with negativity from now on, like in a better way, in a more efficient way, and not have it ruin the rest of my week or something like that. So thank you so much for sharing that. Before we start wrapping up, I know you have a special gift for us. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about that?
Yes. So I have a freebie or a free course on emotional intelligence. So for those who want to dive a little deeper and learn about what emotional intelligence is, they can go to the website of Libra Learning, and I believe the website should be in the description of the
Yep.
podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Emotions Matter. So you'll learn about all the pillars of emotional intelligence. And I even have an exercise for each module to kind of give people some experience in what it means to have self-awareness, self-regulation, self-motivation, and when I talk about social skills. So that's completely free. I also recently created another a course called Positive Goal Setting with Emotional Intelligence for those who want to work on their goals and their dreams, and they want to do this with ease. I recently created another free course called Positive Goal Setting with Emotional Intelligence. It's on the same link, so they can sign up for that and check it out as well. And for those who want to dig a little deeper and really dive into emotional intelligence, I have a course called Reset, Recharge, and Reinvent Your Life. So reset has to do with self-awareness, recharge has to do with self-regulation and self-motivation, and reinventing your life is once you go through that process, the changes that you will make now that you are more aware about your emotions and how to manage your relationships along the way. So that has to do with personal leadership and life goals. And that is my paid course. So all of that is on the side. Anyone can go and check it out and sign up anytime. But definitely go through the freebies because there's a lot of great information there.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That is incredible. And where can people connect with you online?
So you can find me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm on Clubhouse sometimes as well. And we met on Clubhouse, so that was incredible.
Yeah.
And so definitely you can find me on those social channels. So I love to hear from the listeners. So I would definitely respond back if someone sends a message. So definitely connect with me there.
Yay, that is incredible. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, you've taught us so much, given us so many actionable tips and strategies. For those of you that need to get the notes and the summary of this interview, make sure to check out the show notes in the description box down below. We have our live interviews with experts here twice a week, so make sure to stay tuned and join our community. Again, you can find all the links in the description box. Thank you so much for being here. Honestly, thank you for all the tips and everything that you shared with us. I'll chat with you very soon and have a great